All right, so I would like to welcome April, and she has some great personal skills, phone skills that she's brought to us from other industries, and she's really making it happen in real estate. So we are all just going to be all ears and let her talk about what she's doing.
Thank you so much. So just to give you guys some background on me before real estate, at age 15, I had my first job in telemarketing for a home builder who was doing home repairs at the time. Did that for 2 years. Then I went right at 18 years old into a job at an auto finance company where I did company training eventually. I started out in low-end collections. Then I managed the entire Southeast division of repossessions, and then with a different company, foreclosures. So my background was calling people and get them to turn over their vehicles, their RVs, their boats, their airplanes, and everything else. So I learned very quickly, how can I talk to people and get them to do what I need out of this? From there, it came to managing a multi-state repossession and collection company, handling foreclosures and traveling throughout the United States, meeting many of our top automotive lenders, building relationships with them that have lasted 15 or more years. So I do think I can bring some stuff to the table to help everyone, especially newer agents, on how I do things a little bit differently than your average lead gen caller, and help you guys with some tips and tricks too on building your sphere, people you may not think could be a great person in your sphere to have, and how to really cultivate that into more business for yourself. So we're
Great.
going to switch to share screen so you can see all the slides I've been working on.
All right, you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, super.
So what I'm going to cover today is initial contact, how I initially make contact with leads, how I categorize my leads and some tips with that, consistent follow-ups, building relationships, sphere touches, and some holiday ideas that hopefully can help you guys between now and the end of the year. We're going to start with initial contact. So what you have to decide each time you look at a lead is, am I going to text, am I going to call, or am I going to email? And I choose my method of contact based on 3 things: the time of day, the timeline of purchase, and the information provided by the lead. Time of day. So my rule of thumb is I don't ever wake someone up unless we have an offer. So unless we've won an offer, if I wake up at 7:30, 8 a.m. and I see someone online on a Saturday looking at homes, I'm not calling them at 7:30 in the morning. So you need to be very mindful of that. And if I see a lead looking at like 8:30, 8 o'clock at night, I also do not call them immediately either. Here's what I do. So in those cases, I text. So I want to send something that is friendly, upbeat, not overly pushy. So here's you 2 really great examples that you can kind of play around with. Hey, Mike, you're up early looking at homes. Let me know how I can help. I'm making coffee, but always up to chat. So it doesn't come across like you're a form text. It doesn't come across like I'm a computer texting. It doesn't say you're looking at homes in Huntersville for $350,000. What would you like to see today? It's just more of a friendly, laid back approach, because you always want to remember, this isn't a yes or no situation. It's not a, if they don't want to buy in 3 months, that the lead is no good, or even if they don't want to buy this year, the lead is no good. You want to look at that lead as an opportunity to build a relationship with someone so that they or their contacts could lead you to business. And then my second example is, hey, Leslie, I know it's late, but saw you're on my site checking out homes in Huntersville. I grew up there. Let me know how I can help. friendly, not overly pushy, gets the point across that you know they're looking at leads, you're here for them, but you're not saying something form generated like, hello, Leslie, I see you're viewing homes in Huntersville. What information may I send you? Because then they think you're a computer and they just ignore your text and delete it. Next, pick up the phone. But I think the first question people say is, well, what am I supposed to say? What do I say when I call someone? And the way you speak to a lead in the beginning is far more important than the content. So I personally do not worry at all about the content, and I focus on the way I'm going to speak to them, especially the first conversation. I start off every conversation like I know them already. Hey, Kathy, it's April. How are you doing today? Hey, is this Kathy? How's your day going? I don't ever say, hello, this is April from LePage Johnson Realty. Is this Kathy? I don't ever say that, ever. Never, ever. And they usually say to me back, Kathy would say, yeah, it's Kathy. Who's this? Oh, it's April with LePage Johnson Realty. You're using my site to check out homes. I figured I'd check in and see how your day's going. Very laid back, not pushy. My first sentence doesn't need to be, what homes do you want to see? Upbeat, friendly tone. You want to put them at ease. Everyone who sees a phone number, especially nowadays, that they do not know, especially mine that ends in 0000, thinks that you are spam, you're selling a car warranty, you're, no, they don't want to talk to you anyways. So your very first job is to just get them to relax. I make a point of not talking too fast or interrupting them. And I mirror my content based on theirs. And what I mean by that is if Kathy starts saying, yeah, my day's going pretty good, just dropped my kids off at school, and I say, oh, I don't respond with, oh, so do you want to buy a home? So are you looking at homes? That's not, if Kathy tells me I just dropped my kids off at school, the first thing I'm going to say to Kathy is, oh, awesome. How old are the kids? I have 2 boys that are middle school and high school. Do you have little ones or older ones? And then Kathy's going to relax with me. She's going to start telling me about her kids, about her day, what she's off to do. And Kathy and I have now at that point built a relationship. She feels comfortable talking to me, so then it can lead into real estate. It's kind of like a ninja. You don't want to just go straight out hardcore with buying a house. So I also try to make a connection based on location, their family, sports, the weather. If Kathy says, hey, Kathy, it looks like you're in Colorado. I see your phone number's Colorado. Are you still living there? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, is it cold yet? Do you guys already have snow, or is that later? Or, I don't go too pushy. You just want to try to get a conversation going. And I put at the bottom, you need to always remember you're building a relationship, and those will lead to sales in your business. Next, the only time to email versus call and text is never. And I mean that, no, never. Email should be your last resort. If your lead's number is bad and you can't find a better one, this is the only time you should be emailing a lead for your first or even second or third contact. People look through their emails. They're not going to read it. If they get a form email that says, thanks for checking out homes on LePage Johnson Realty, I promise you, they are not opening it. If you think about your own email system, and when you log into your Gmail and you have a whole long list of emails, unless something catches your eye and looks personal, you're not going to open it anyways. So at no point, even if it's 8 or 9 o'clock at night, even if it's 7:30 in the morning, there is absolutely no reason until you know that number is bad that you send anyone an email. Here's an example email for when you do need to use one because you don't have a phone number that's good and you can't find one. Hey, Roger, thanks for using my site to check out homes. Looking to move to North Carolina? I help both buyers and investors. I find a lot of homes off market, so send me a message with what you're looking for and I'll keep you updated of anything I run across. Have a great week, April. You want to keep it short with a catchy subject line and friendly. The one thing, Roger, that he would get from reading this is, oh, maybe she gets access to homes that I won't be able to find. Let me write her back so she might be able to find me something that someone else can't. Especially if Roger's looking for something specific or he doesn't know. That's the type of email that's going to generate more of a response. It's also not too long. You don't want to write 3 paragraphs telling them about LePage Johnson and yourself and videos and all of that. You want to start out like getting a hook in so that you have at least a chance of them responding, especially when they already either gave you a fake phone number or a disconnected number. Research your leads. So this is something I spent a lot of years doing, is researching people. I handled portfolios where people owed lenders millions of dollars in cross-collateral loans. And I was on social media all day, every day, trying to research those people, where they hang out, what they do, who they're around, to get to my end game. If I'm sitting at my desk and it's during a time that I have blocked to work leads, before I call my leads for the day, and especially if there's new leads, say from last night or yesterday evening, what I'll do is the first thing I want to do is try to look up their name in Facebook. You want to see if you can find where they live. Do they have a family and a couple kids? Are they heavily involved with a local sports team? What are their interests? Anything that it looks like from just 1 or 2 minutes of scrolling their page, you want to find something that you can make note of that's going to help you make a connection when you're talking to them. Especially if you can find the city. I use cities all the time. As soon as it's Ohio, I immediately say like, oh, what about the Browns? Are you a Browns fan? Or my husband is from Cleveland, Ohio. And so does you say OH in your house 24 hours a day too? Or is that just me? Like, you want to find something that's very personal that you can bring up. And an area code is the easiest thing. Every single person can Google and figure out where that area code is. Oh, your area code's California. Are you still there? Or are you already over here to the East Coast? Have you left the northern winters in New York? Are you already down south? Are you still, struggling up there for the next 4 months? Google, I look up the area code. I actually will go all the way to map the city that they're in, and I will see what's around that city if it's something that I'm completely unfamiliar with. I'll see what's the nearest large city, what's the nearest sports team to where they live. What's something like, if there's a huge monument or state park, something that's known for, that's near where that area code is, then that's something that can help you kind of feel confident when you're talking to them that you know the area they're in now. LinkedIn, where do they work? What industry are they in? Are they a realtor? Are they in home building? Are they in a huge company that is building an office here? What type of things do they post? Are they active on LinkedIn? I use all of that information when I gather that and put it in my notes to know, okay, it looks like they work for, I'll give you a Charleston, South Carolina example. It looks like they work for Boeing. And I know Boeing had just at that time in South Carolina built a large office. So I knew my person with this Mercedes that I had been looking for 1.5 years, that's probably where I'm going to find my vehicle. So the same thing, like, that Boeing is, if they were coming to Charlotte and they're building a huge center, this lead may also lead me to not only his house if I make a connection, but he's probably going to know a lot of other people that are transferring him with him that could lead me to more business down the road.
April,
Yes.
do you want us to wait until the end?
No,
Okay.
Interrupt at any time.
Okay, so how do you, so you do some research before you call them for the first time?
Yes, if
And
I'm
so-
sitting at my desk and I have time.
Okay,
Now I do have the app
right,
and I do like pull up the apps a lot of times when I'm driving and I'll
and
just,
call.
yep,
right?
I'll just roll the dice and call.
So if you do even a little bit of research, how do you make it so it's not spooky when you call them?
I would not bring that up other than knowing like, okay, let's use Ohio because it's a super example. And I have a lot of leads that seem to come from Ohio. If I see that this person is all about Ohio State and it is and it's an Ohio area code, when I call them, I'm like, oh, Ohio number, you an Ohio State fan? That's how I would say it. I went, or I would ask like, so are you moving here with your family or by yourself? Knowing that it's a husband, wife, and several kids, because I know at that point, like they're probably going to reply and say, yeah, it's me and the wife and 2 kids.
Okay, gotcha.
So we'll lead to the questions I ask. Anybody else have anything? Okay, this is something that's super important. And I learned this very young in collections and with client building, is to take notes. Everything you discover from your online research that can help you, put it in your Boomtown notes section. Each phone call, I religiously take notes from that phone call. I take notes from texts together. Bringing this info up later shows them that you're paying attention, which is really important to people. People want to feel like you are the only, like they're the only lead that you're working with, that you are dedicating your time fully to them in this home search. You don't want them to feel like they're one of 50 people you're working with, or that they're just a number. And I copied from one of my closed deals some notes, so you guys could see some of the things that I put into notes that helped me. Husband Mark, daughters Allie, dog Sophie, because Casey talked about her dog every single phone call. So I knew that it was something that was important to her. They're moving from Noonan, Georgia because of Mark's job. It's imperative that they have a primary bedroom on the main level because Mark couldn't go up and downstairs easily. They need to sell their Georgia home. So I made a slash and I put Dana. Talk to them about making a non-contingent offer 911. Let's see, what else did I put? 3+ bedrooms, hardwoods was super important to them. I learned after the first trip when they were here that it was extremely important that the house was clean, that we were seeing. If they walked into a house that was cluttered or the least bit messy, they were out. As soon as we walked in the door, that's it. They just did not feel comfortable moving into a home that they didn't feel like the current owners took really good care of. And I learned that, so I wanted to make sure I put that. It was adamant they had a pool or room for one, and that they didn't want to do any major remodeling because they are not handy at all. They knew they would have to sub every single thing out. And with them moving here, it's not something they wanted to take on. I learned that they wanted to be close to easy shopping, under 10 minutes. When we looked at homes the first weekend, anything that was more than 10 minutes away from a shopping center, Casey felt like she was in the middle of nowhere. They had relocated to other cities where they lived in an area 25, 30 minutes away from great shopping. And for her, she felt alone because her husband's traveling and she doesn't know anyone. So all of those type notes I put in there, and I'll tell you where else I put them in. So in my phone, in my cell phone, the first time that I get a real lead that I'm going to be talking to, and I know like they're going to be coming into town, I won't put all of this in there, but I'll put just little notes so that if they call me in between now and next month when they come, that I remember that her husband's name is Mark. I remember that the main things that they need and where they're moving, that they're a hot lead. And I save Casey in my phone as Casey moving from Georgia to, LKN. So when she pops up, I know it's Casey calling. I'm like, hey, Casey, how's it going? It immediately, and she's commented on this since because we became very close friends, that she said the reason Mark and I loved you is because when we would talk to you, you showed that you were paying attention to the little details that we would mention to you in phone calls. So you put us at ease, like you genuinely, we could tell you genuinely cared about what was going on with us. So definitely, this is probably one of the most important things, is to take notes when you do get that person on the phone. And if you talk to them, 2 months from now, and you bring up something like, oh yeah, I remember you guys are moving here with the 2 daughters. They're like, oh yeah, I had this happen a lot, where they're like, oh yeah, you remember. I hear that a lot. And it'll go a long way with building that relationship. A couple things not to say. Let me know if I can help. So my rule of thumb is you never use the word if. Instead, I use, I'd love to help. I'll do X to help you with that, or here's X to help you with your search. Here's a video of Mooresville and a couple snapshots of towns to help you with your search for Mooresville next year. So you never want to say, let me know if I can help you. Have a proactive of, I know I can help you, and here's how. So then it makes you come across, more confident, and that you know that you're going to be helping them. I am a firm believer you should not say the typical, and I do see this a whole lot in lead conversion classes, where you're pushing, you're like, I'm booking showings for the weekend. Let me know ASAP if you want to see anything before things are booked up. I found there's no need for high pressure sales tactics. This is a relationship you're building. And this could also make the prospective client feel there's no need to call you if they see something Friday night and you send them this text on a Tuesday. Like, oh, well, April already told me that things book up quickly. So it's probably, I shouldn't even bother her. I shouldn't write her Friday night about a house I just saw because she told me that everything's going to be booked up. So I really I don't like that. I think you just have to, like that you're available. Yes, we need to set a schedule. I love to put some time aside for you on this day if it works for your schedule too. If not, what's the best day of the week for us to see houses together? Especially if it's someone local. If there's someone coming from out of town, I would say most of mine have been months out, and like we plan things way in advance. But as soon as they say like, I'd like to come in November, I'm like, oh, cool. Do you know how many days you could spend here? I'd love to pull some events and see what goes on here locally in November. Maybe you can catch the Renaissance Festival. Sorry, my seller's dog lately has given me horrible allergies. So, so that's going on. That's another way to build some client relationships, guys. So that's a note you should not take from my book. Do not offer to watch their dog.
To do dog sitting.
Yeah,
right?
don't offer dog sitting. But anyway, so yeah, that's something I definitely say though. Like if you're a couple months out, you want to try to find a connection for their trip here, not just, oh, you're coming the end of October and you want to look, oh, you're looking in Mooresville. Here's a Mooresville video. Like you have to get more personal. The video is great, but you want to send oh, I was just in Mooresville the other day and I had lunch at this great pizza place. Here's this information. Do you want me to try to set you guys up with an Airbnb, some recommendations for that while you're here? Do you prefer a hotel? Would you like a couple restaurants? My Boomtown client in January, we started working together the week after Thanksgiving, and they came for 2 visits. And when they were here, they loved the fact that I gave them restaurants around where they were staying. I gave them a list to find current events going on in the community when they were here. I sent them a couple of breweries and just other things that they liked, so they had something to do outside of just looking at houses. I also gave them a couple areas, like you may want to drive through Antiquity area in Huntersville and just see that, drive through it. Is it your vibe? Is that what you think you're going for? You may want to check this out at Lake Norman. Here's a really spot to take in a view. They love that. And we talk at least once or twice a month, and they still talk about that. And they still go to those restaurants and they still
Nice.
message me when they're here enjoying their lake house for, hey, guess what, April? We're so excited to tell you we checked out this place you gave us last year that we still hadn't made it to. So I think that's really important when you're building these relationships when people are coming to visit. Next is categorizing your leads. So you all know the qualify, nurture, watch, hot, trash, archive scenarios, and you know what they mean, but I'm going to give you some tips on how I modify mine to work for me. And I think this is good. You know, take this, it may work for you, but maybe you can take something and make this kind of work. You have to figure out what works for you. So here's a couple additional uses I use for my Boomtown categories. Hot. So in addition to someone that's ready to buy right now, anyone I know in my leads that I need to be in constant, regular contact, I put them under hot. It may be someone who's not moving until next June. I have someone who's not moving till the end of next school year, but I know she's one of those leads. I have to really stay on, and she and I have to talk every couple weeks, or she just kind of goes by the wayside. And when I kind of have those regular personal texts, hey, how's it been going? Haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. How's the plan for next summer? Is your son doing well in his senior year of high school? And she's like, oh my gosh, here's how it's going. And so we keep that relationship going so that by next June, there's no chance she's using anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So over that course of that year, and I want to be, and there are some that you don't really need to talk to on a super regular basis between now and next June. But you can tell when you talk to people, the ones that you need to be in regular contact with. Also, a maybe really hot sphere or influencer or investor. I placed my very first month here. I had shared on Instagram an uptown condo that Kathy Burns had, and I shared it on IG and did a promotion. And I had an NBA player and 2 football players end up in my Boomtown because of that. So those people have maybe had one email or something with me since then, but I consistently keep them under hot because it's just going to take the right call or the right something to spark interest. Mm-hmm. And those are the type of people that you may want to keep under hot because you do not want to forget that you have that particular lead for whatever reason.
Right. April.
Yes.
So you said it could be a sphere. So are you taking, excuse me, people who did not come from Boomtown that are your organic people? Mm-hmm. Are you adding them into the Boomtown
I am
program?
I am. Okay. Even though if it's someone that I feel like it's someone that I have a couple people, I would say they're probably either client contacts for my former business. Mm-hmm. And I've put them in there because I know that they know a lot of people relocating here, and it's people that I want to keep really fresh in mind and keep a hot contact with.
Right. Okay.
So I put them in Boomtown and I put them under hot. So then I remember, because I'm under my hots, I look at my hots every day to see what my hot category is doing.
Okay. Okay. And you schedule tasks?
I do.
Call in 3 weeks?
I do schedule that in Boomtown, but I feel like for me personally, it's not something I consistently go by. I think because for me, I keep it kind of straight in my mind what my routine is with my leads. Mm-hmm. But I think if you are starting out and if you've not used a lead gen or a CRM or any type of thing where you had to keep contact with clients and keep them organized, I think that's really helpful. It's really helpful to set that so you don't forget until you get yourself into a mindset to be able to do that.
Right. Okay.
That's good. Watch and nurture. So I use this also for anyone wanting to seriously buy regardless of the time frame. If they're serious and I know they're really going to move here, but we know I have a couple now, they own 3 properties in Virginia. And they have children that are at a certain age. And once the last one graduates, Like at that point, that year before, they're going to start selling off properties and they've already decided they want to move here. They love it. All their other relatives are here, but they just are not going to switch the kids' school systems until they graduate. I put those people under watch or nurture, even though, yes, it's 2 to 3 years away. And some people may find that a bit ridiculous, but I'm building a relationship. And you're not just looking for deals the next 12 months. Those people can lead to other deals. And because I keep in contact with that family is actually giving me 2 other people they knew who were looking to buy here in the meantime. And so they know me, and you want to keep your name fresh of mind so that when someone thinks of real estate, they think of Kathy. And they're like, oh, Kathy, the realtor I talked to about when we moved there, she's great, call her. Archive. So I use this for leads I may not have great info or response, et cetera, on, but I will still check these once a week. I'll put them on drips. Like, let's say they are on the site regular, or not really regular. Let's say they're on the site every couple weeks or once a month. Their email's good. I've never got a bounce back, but their phone numbers are completely bad and they've never responded to an email. I still may, if I see that they're still looking at homes, I will keep them under archive. I'll put them on a drip because once in a blue moon, I'll get someone that all of a sudden like responds to one. Either, to either say, no, I'm not. I have a lady in San Francisco who has no intention of ever moving anytime ever. But she found our site a couple years ago and she likes to look at homes to relax every single day. But she's never moving. But the people that you don't know yet, it doesn't really take that much of your time to put them on a drip, let the drip play out, and then I'll add them another drip. And I'll just continually just keep sending them emails until they report me as spam or they reply. And sometimes they'll reply and say, oh yeah, I was looking and this is what I'm looking for, out of the blue. So I think there's a misconception that if they aren't buying a house, send them trash, which I feel is wrong. The realtor, I feel like you talk to them about EXP, or what about building a referral partnership with them? I have a referral partner I met off the site in Arkansas. He's sent me a possible buyer looking here, and he and I've talked back and forth. So those aren't necessarily trash. Yes, that realtor may be just snooping around, or may end up on our site, or may was looking at a house that she saw an ad on. We don't know, but it doesn't mean that they're trash just because it's not someone buying a house. They're being nosy or like to browse. I ask them to send people to me if they know someone who is buying. I encourage them to use my site as much as they want. And you know what? They could even post my site on their Facebook as the best place to search for homes. Sometimes, and I will say, especially neighbors will say, oh, I was just looking at my neighbor's house and I just like to see what's out there. You know what? You should post do you love my site? It's pretty awesome, isn't it? All the content we have. You should post on your Facebook that if anyone's searching for a home, that my place is the best place to search. That would mean so much to me. Do they have a business? I have a business contact from Boontown who makes custom artwork and things. And he and I started talking and made a connection and networking back and forth about possible ideas he could do for closing gifts. And we keep in contact maybe once a month or so. But he knows now, like he's called me and said, hey, I have a relative moving to Columbia, South Carolina. Do you handle that area, or do you know someone who does? Sure, I'll get you someone. So now we're already networking back and forth. So Boomtown can't only be for leads. It's also great to build your network and build your sphere. And all of these people that you meet are people that can be in your sphere. The number's bad. If their email is still good and they're active at all, I say put them in archive and keep them on drips and send an occasional personal email to spark a response. Don't just necessarily send them to trash. This is a couple things I do throughout the week that consistently. So this hopefully will help you guys too. On Mondays, I 100% attempt to make contact with anyone who is newly active over the weekend. That's kind of my talk off. And those are the leads that I try to call every Monday, people who are active over the weekend on the site. Hey, I saw you were looking at homes on Sunday evening. I see you're back on my site. Yay, I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I was thinking you broke up with me and went and found a new realtor. Like I say all kinds of just random things that just makes people laugh and puts them at ease. And then the next thing you know, we're talking about going to see houses. On Friday, I pick a few leads, and you don't have to do this to every single one, but I'll pick a few who are in qualify, and I'll just randomly text them to have a great weekend and let them know that I'm around if they need anything, need to see homes or want to see homes this weekend. I'm here. And just tell. And once in a while, I'll get someone that says, thank you so much. I hope you have a great weekend too. I'm still about 3 months out, but make sure to keep texting me. You have to send the random personal things that make it clear to someone that they still matter, that you're still here checking up on them. Holidays, nurture your watch and your hot leads. I feel like deserve a personal text, a personal call, and an email. We send the team emails for the holidays, but I also send a personal text or call at holidays to everyone that I'm having any type of regular communication with. And I think it's a bonus in that if you mention personal email from your conversations. Hope you and the family have a wonderful holiday week. Are you guys traveling at all? Is your family traveling for Thanksgiving week? Things like that, to just add that personal touch instead of just a form sent happy email from LePage Johnson. They should also hear from you, not just a team. And then daily, I make contact with your new leads immediately. You want to see, and I also see who's on the site looking at something specific neighborhoods, specific cities, and see what can I send over daily to just those people. And yes, there are some days that you may not get all of this done, but if you set aside time, and once you get it all under control and flowing, then it's not that much time you're really spending on the system every day. And I don't think the time of day matters as much as being consistent. I switch up the times frequently.